Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We were just waiting for a few more people to join, but I think we have everyone now. My name is Andrew Chabot. I'm the Program Manager for Workforce Development here at Mass CEC. I am joined by Tamika Jacques, the Director for Workforce, and also Susan Lang, Jennifer Applebaum, and Ann Berrigan from Commonwealth Corporation. Today we'll be running through the Learn and Earn solicitation that we currently have out for the 2016 year. I would ask that everyone please just quickly type in the chat box if you can hear me, so we can make sure the audio is working. Okay, great. Thanks for doing that. So we're going to kick off. Please, throughout this webinar, if you have any questions, please just type it in the box, and we will then answer questions at the conclusion of the webinar during the Q&A session. And with that, I will leave it to Tamika to kick us off.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, along with Commonwealth Corporation. As you know, this is a RFP that was issued a few weeks ago, and it's always nice to explain the RFP so that you can hear clearly what our expectations are as we're looking for this. This is not our first time doing a Learn and Earn RFP. This is now a third iteration of this type of program, and as you will see, this is actually, it's funded out of our workforce capacity building program. And you know what the next slide says, can we click it? Okay, so basically what the next slide is just explaining how the program is funded. It's funded under our workforce capacity building program, and it's basically to expand and enhance the clean energy workforce. And I think this is really done by investing in our youth, in today's youth that are in high school. A lot of our employers that we speak with, you know, they say that they have difficulty hiring, and they wish that the STEM field would start a lot earlier. And so this is our response to the employers that are always asking us to support high school programs. And so far we've had amazing success over the past 3 years that we've done this, because we first piloted this program with Northeastern University. So we are definitely proud of this program. We've had some great accomplishments in this program, which I will talk about a little bit later, of some context of the other programs and the experiences that we've had from our other recipients. Not sure if they're on the phone with us right now, but I will definitely talk about that later, of how you can reach out to them if you have further questions. So basically, the slide you see is, again, what I just talked about, the need to support K through 12 clean energy STEM educational development, except for this RFP is more focusing on students that are in grades 9 through 12, and the key is that these students are in school. So this RFP is not for high school students that are currently out of the system. These specific students have to be matriculated in a high school across Massachusetts. And again, you know, as I said before, we feel like these type of programs really address employers' long-term workforce needs in clean energy. I know that Massachusetts, we have, you know, we're a fortunate state where our unemployment rate is low right now. However, some employers still, through the unemployment rate, they still do report difficulties of hiring, and that is because of the mismatch of skills that is needed. So again, this is one of our solutions for this program. And some of you may be familiar with the STEM Council as well. They also have been looking at programs such as this, and so they are also looking into models that are effective ways to develop and grow STEM early college career pathways. And so this is what this RFP is leaning towards. We want it to be a career pathway for post-secondary, and also as some of our other successful models with this program. So, you know, if you're in a vocational school and maybe the students are not, you know, going to college right away because they come out with, you know, electrician license, this is also another career pathway of getting those students involved. So this project that we're going to talk about, the RFP, it's very based on work-based learning, hands-on learning, but at the same time getting the work-prepared component that you need and the academic components that you need after you have completed your high school program. So if we could keep the slide. Thank you. As I mentioned before, this RFP is exclusively for in-school high school students that are currently enrolled in grades 9 through 12. So they have to have completed at least the first year of high school. So it cannot be an 8th grader that has graduated and then, trying to go into high school. This is not that type of program. This is specifically for students that are already in your high school. And the program, it's a requirement. It has to address the need for in-school youth to have summer employment or year-round employment, and I'll explain a little bit of that in some of the other projects. But basically, I know this is a little different twist because a lot of the Learn and Earn classic models are students going to a place of work, and that's where they are working. But this one is really, the project is focused at their high school, so you're teaching them work-based learning, hands-on learning while they're in high school. At the same time, they're getting an academic component mixed with it, so it becomes what we call a Learn and Earn program, and the students are receiving funds while they are there in their high school for the summer, mainly focusing on the summer, but again, we allow programs to do this year-round. So when we talk about year-round, it could be that you want to have your model be from September to June and then also have a summer component. Or you could just want planning for students to be part of your program September through June and then have them ready to go and during the summer, but working with them during the year, getting them ready for that summer component. So there's different models that we will accept. And if you look at this, you'll see this in the RFP, but of course, it goes without saying, we are the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. So the focus has to be around clean energy with a STEM focus. And because of that, that's the first major component of it. So as you're developing programs within your high schools, it's good to look at what types of STEM that your high school is focusing on, whether it's different industries in clean energy, whether it's solar. We've had prior participants focus exclusively on solar. We've had prior participants focus exclusively on energy efficiency. So really, when you're writing your response to the RFP, it really is focused on an industry based on the need of, also could be your region wherever you are applying from, but also with the focus of looking at the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center's report and looking at some of those industries that are in there and what is it lacking? What is the industry lacking when you look at that report? So again, part of the requirement is a work readiness curriculum, and we will discuss that a little bit later. Commonwealth Corporation will talk about that. And then, as we say, post-secondary preparation. So, what as a program component could you do for your high school students to get them ready for post-secondary education or for a career? Like I said, we've worked with vocational schools before where they did focus on solar, and when those students came out, they had the requirements to go install solar, but they also had the experience because they were able to learn the principles at school, but then take some of that learning and go work on houses within their community. And again, there has to be a classroom academic component that aligns with what the industry focus that you're focusing on. And we will talk about, will be included when Commonwealth Corporation talks a little bit, but we'll talk about the measurement of the work readiness skills gains, which we will discuss under signal success, and you'll see that in the RFP. That's a component that Mass CEC pays for separately. It's not part of, when you ask for the proposal, it's not, you don't have to include it in your funding. And so part of that is with career exploration. So how are we preparing these students for what they want to do when they are out of high school? How are we preparing them to start their careers, start their career path? And then, moving on, when you are submitting your proposal to us, it's important that you know who is going to be in charge of the program, who's going to run the program, how it's going to look over if you apply to us for 12 months, how it's going to look for you over the next 12 months. And we require that if you're coming in as the applicant, that it is done in a team, and we'll discuss a little bit of the team later, but the team should include a representative from your high school, a representative from higher education if higher education is not the lead. So if you are a high school, you need to if you're applying as a high school, you need to make sure that you have an employer that is part of your team. You need to make sure that you have someone from higher education that is also part of your team. It could be a community college, it could be a private or a public institution, but that is definitely a requirement that you will see in the RFP. And, you know, there's been a lot of buzz around, you know, do we have to include AP credits? How should we include in this program? Is dual enrollment? Both of those are optional, but we have found in the past that students do well when higher education is involved, and when they are done with their high school program, that they are able to take what they've learned and be able to take those credits. For example, I'm going to use Northeastern University for example. So they applied on behalf of Northeastern University in the past, working with the John D. O'Brien High School, and they were able to, in their proposal, have it so that the students, not only were they helping the students in their high school program, but they were helping the students around passing the AP math class, the AP science classes, so they could take those credits, transfer them to higher education, and not only that, they were able to take a class at Northeastern University where they could take those credits and transfer them to any university of their choice. So again, dual enrollment is optional. Helping students pass, you know, the AP exams is optional if you want to include that in your program. But we feel it does give students an edge because, again, we are trying to get students interested in STEM and a STEM career pathway. And if you already have those credits when you are leaving high school, you know, most cases when you go into college and you understand what it takes to be on the STEM career pathway, then you choose a STEM major, and that ultimately really is our goal, is to keep talent in Massachusetts. Hopefully they stay when they graduate higher education, but also that they will choose a STEM major when they decide to go to college. So with those program requirements, again, we will take questions at the end, but we do require that if you are writing in for this proposal that there is a match requirement of 15% of in-kind contributions. It has to meet a minimum threshold of 15% of the total amount requested. So, you know, an in-kind contribution could be someone's staff time. And a lot of people, you know, or you can be leveraging other resources as well. I think that Massachusetts, there are definitely other resources that can be leveraged as far as, you know, resources for high school students. So I think that there is a lot out there, and 15%, it's not a lot. It's not a high number, and we feel like this is a very fair number. So it could be, definitely a lot of people use it as staff time, so not necessarily billing the grant for using a high school teacher teaching. So this is definitely a requirement, and if we do not see the match requirement in the proposal, then that will eliminate your application to Mass CEC. So with that, going over some of the requirements, I'm actually going to turn it over to Commonwealth Corporation to explain Signal Success. And we have, and we will talk about later, of a contact that you can contact someone that's participating in the program right now. So that will be at the end of the PowerPoint as well. But right now I'm going to turn it over to Susan.
Actually, Jennifer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Jennifer.
So Jennifer is actually dialing in to join us for today. So Jennifer, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Great. Thank you so much. So we'll just go through a little bit about the Signal Success curriculum, just to give folks a sense of what that support is and how it can blend in with the goals of the program for the Clean Energy Center Learn and Earn grant. So basically, this is one way to support the learning in the academic piece in the sense that it provides direct lessons and customizable pieces that can be included to help students explore their careers and also better understand the expectations that come along with work. Can you advance the slide, actually? Thanks. Just to give you a sense, and actually some of these numbers have grown. So originally the curriculum was created in response to employer research. Commonwealth Corporation did a lot of research with employers in Massachusetts as well as some other states around some of the challenges to employing teens and young adults. And a lot of what we heard from employers was around young people's lack of understanding of what the expectation was at the workplace, so that they might be really good in terms of training and have a lot of assets, but they may not necessarily understand what the expectation of being dependable is, or how to work on a team, or how to show initiative. So a lot of the curriculum does target those skills. It also helps facilitate students really understanding what each individual job or opportunity or skill means in their larger path, and that can really help them see value in the program. So if you're doing a Learn and Earn program, it can help students understand better how to apply the things that they would be getting from your programming to thinking about a long-term career path and future. At this point, it says 7,000, but we've actually used the program with over 18,000 young people in a variety of applications, including the Learn and Earn. And one of the big things that's really positive about it is that it's really very accessible. So we worked with you, depending on your participant needs, to make sure that it's going to match those students' abilities, skills, and their particular learning environment. So that means that we make sure that your students are able to access the information and engage in it. The other piece of this is that it's very flexible, so each iteration and use of it is customized, and we do that end of the work. We work with partners to think about what you need most and to make sure that the curriculum fits that. And that final piece you'll see is that it's measurable. So it includes assessment components that help you track how your students are doing in terms of their skill gain, in terms of their approaching readiness for work, and also how they're starting to achieve and understand their own career trajectory. If you can move forward. Thanks. So this is some sample learning targets, and it gives you a sense of the type of things that are covered in the curriculum. We sort of think of it as in three sort of big buckets of information, one being around career exploration and career path, which is a little bit of that piece of understanding, next steps, and the other being about behaviors, employer readiness in terms of, how to show off your skills and your assets, and the third being the actual pieces that you need ready for a job. So making sure that young people have the actual keys to being ready to retain and get employment. But the one thing I would say about the sample key learning targets is that the process that we go through with individual partners always involves them being able to prioritize and pick which sub-learning targets are most important to them. So in that way, we're really able to shape the program to meet the needs of each individual school or community partner. Can you go forward? This is a little bit about the skill gain focus, specifically the soft skill gain or the non-cognitive skill gain focus. So as I mentioned earlier, this does come out of research, and a lot of what employers have said is that students, these are the areas that they really need to develop in order to be more work ready. And what's interesting is that employers in all different sectors and also employers talking about different types of jobs echo these needs. So, whether you're looking for that very first job or whether you're looking to advance your career, most employers would echo the idea that these are the things that really make a difference in terms of people being able to perform successfully on the job. So the four that are the main focus are there: the collaboration, communication, dependability, and initiative. But the other three there in that last bullet are really ones that actually lift up and build a structure for those other pieces. So a lot of times we can talk about a student knowing how to communicate effectively and appropriately, but their own ability to self-regulate or self-monitor can get in the way of that, or it can augment it and benefit it. So we see those additional problem-solving, self-regulation, self-efficacy as skills that run across the other skills and help support them in order to provide success. This is a little bit about the process, which I've already started to allude to, which is the idea that it's really not a one-size-fits-all. It's very much a partnership process where we're looking to try and make this work within your program. And the first part of that is really understanding, you know, what you're going to need from this. So, and this is going to be very specific to what your own learn and earn program model is. So it probably would definitely not look the same for different applicants. So depending on how you're looking to shape it, what you're looking to focus on, what the profile is of the students that you're looking to work with, we would help you go through and think about which pieces of the curriculum would be a good fit, and we come back with a customized suggestion. This also includes making sure that the curriculum fits the dosage and the time frame. So, you know, if you've got a 40-minute class or a 90-minute block, if you're implementing after school or during the school day, we can make it work so that it fits those different pieces. The next thing that we provide is we provide training for the people in your school or program that will be implementing the curriculum to make sure that people are comfortable with it, they understand the structures of it, know how to best implement it. And then coaching is an ongoing support structure, and that's really an ongoing collaboration where we're able to hear your feedback, make tweaks, provide suggestions, and support the on-the-ground implementation. And that carries through into that feedback and improvement piece, where as we're getting information in the coaching, we're also looking to improve this and also to help you capture participant data so that you can also track all the good gains that you're making.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. That was great. Right now, I think we will turn it back over to Tamika to talk a little bit more about the eligibility of who should be applying and what that looks like.
Yeah, so I think it's very broad. If you look at it, the eligibility, it's any Massachusetts higher education institution offering 2 and 4-year degrees. It could be public or private, a public or private institution, a community college, Massachusetts private and public high schools, grades 9 through 12, as well as the Massachusetts vocational technical high schools, grades 9 through 12. And if there's a community organization that is a 501c3, they also are eligible, an organized labor union, as well as the Massachusetts Workforce Investment Boards. So this is pretty broad. Applicants are required to partner with at least one clean energy employer and a higher education entity if it's not the lead applicant. And I already see a question on the board regarding this. Like I said, we have seen successful models created where vocational schools also as well have partnered with higher education. So this is a requirement. And I do understand that most of the students come out with, you know, they're already in a licensed program. But again, you're partnering with the higher education, you know, also to see, you know, where they can bring in their expertise. And like you said, some students may go on to college, and we want to make sure that we have that component because it's great, you know, that they will get their license, but we also want them to be exposed to, you know, the business side as well. If they're coming out with a license, if they want a business degree, how to open their own business with the higher education. So this is definitely a requirement. And just talking about the qualifications, the narrative, it is 8 pages that we ask in size 12 font. We do not want the font to be 8 pages of size 6 font. It's very hard to read when it comes in like that. And again, you should be listing what is, you know, listed in the RFP. We talked about the team. You should be listing your partners. I'm sorry, in the RFP it says 10 pages. That's a mistake. Thank you. So you are allowed to have 10 pages when you are applying for this. So we will, so that gives you 2 more extra pages. Thank you. But again, the same 12 font is great if that comes in. And we do allow single spacing. It's not double space. So if you feel that you can get in single spacing 10 pages, that is okay as well. We would like to see we want to know who your staff members are, who your partners, who basically is going to be administering this program, how you're going to provide the support to your students, which we like to see you discuss or have a chart in there on your implementation plan because it just gives us a little snapshot of how everything is going to be covered, who's going to cover it, what's going to be some of your objectives, your goals for this program. And as you know, with high school students, they definitely need support services to make it. Sometimes they need counseling, coaching, and so we do allow for students to have support services. There is funding in the RFP for that. So basically, when we talk about the qualifications, we want to make sure that we can read what you are going to do as plain as it can be. And also, you should talk about how is this going to benefit your high school? How is this going to benefit your region? How is it going to benefit your students? What is the goal, again, of the program? What are they going to get when they come out of it? And, how can they carry that into the future? How is it going to benefit around them? Whether it could be your high school if you're working on energy efficiency, how is teaching your students energy efficiency measures, how is that going to benefit your high school? So are you going to teach them how to do an air blower test in your high school and then give recommendations to your administration on how they can save money? So we definitely would like to see how this will benefit your community and the area around you. And just to talk about the timeline a little bit, we've seen in the past that models that have, again, given you a little bonus. Models that have the most success are models that have a planning phase. So what it is if you are awarded this grant from Mass CEC, usually some programs will take the first summer, that will be summer of 2016, to plan, to see how they're going to execute it, and still in the planning phase, working with students as one of our current applicants from September until June, and then having the summer component the next summer. So we've seen that would be that you'd be planning, you'd be working with the students during the year, getting them ready for summer 2017. We've seen that programs that kind of rush to do it when they get the awarded funds and they want to implement program right away, it doesn't always work out as successful. So as a preference, I'm not going to say it's a requirement, but as a preference, it's great when you can do a timeline that is really planned out for the year. That way you can implement your Signals to Success curriculum and you have everything worked out so that you're working with the program, through the whole year and you are ready to go for summer 2017. And, looking at the budget and the program evaluation, the budget requirements are in the RFP on page 9, actually. And again, you can apply for up to $125,000 for this because this is expected to be a year-round program. And also, we do require that in your budget you carve out a certain set of funds for program evaluation. And the program evaluator has to be someone that is from the outside. It cannot be someone that's on the inside. So if you are awarded a contract from Mass CEC, we will discuss this a little bit further. Not really, we don't need to discuss it now because it's just to the ones that are awarded, but the outside evaluation piece, it's pretty important because we would like to see what parts of your program was effective, what part wasn't effective, how can we take some of your successes and make sure that we are enhancing, as we do this program again, how can we make sure that, everyone has learned from your successes and how can we have others have the same success that you have. So it's not fully divulged in the RFP, but it does give you instructions on the amount that you should carve out for the program evaluator. And again, the person, when we discuss contract negotiation for those that are awarded, it does have to be approved by Mass CEC. So we can get into that when awarded contracts come, but that's just how that little component works. And again, it's not to exceed $125,000. Your overhead costs should not exceed 10% of your total budget amount, because some of you will have summer programs, and you will be compensating the students to be part of your summer program. We want to make sure that we are providing the support services to keep these students in your program. So we do not want them to have to say, well, I can't, be part of this STEM program because I have to go work at, Stop and Shop or whatever it is to support my family. We want to make sure that that you are paying your students, that should be in the budget. And that, again, that's explained the amount that you can pay them, the hour that how much you can pay them per hour. And lunch expenses should not exceed $2,000 over the 8 weeks. So we want to make sure that your program participants are being fed. And usually, models usually accommodate for between 20 and 25 students. So that's why this amount is probably on the lower side, because we're not asking you to take on 100 students for this program. We're saying usually program models come in around 20 students. 25 is the max that we've seen, and usually, because of attrition, some of those students do drop out. So that's some of the allowable costs that you can put in the budget. We do allow for light equipment, not heavy equipment. So equipment, anything that you need to, help the students with their projects. So I know that there's like STEM boxes, or Kid Wind is another project that I know a lot of high schools work with. So you are allowed light equipment in this RFP budget, but not heavy equipment. So I'm going to leave that there. And just to close it up, and then we will open it up for questions, I've put our past recipients on this last page. We have Northeastern University, Greater Lawrence Technical High School, Brockton High School, Boston University. These are all model programs that have done amazing work with high school students all across Massachusetts. So we are very, pleased. We're very happy with these programs. And I just listed out here Chamberlain, who is actually, I don't know if it's called a success specialist, but she is familiar with working to Signal to Success, and she could not be on the call. But I have actually listed her email address here so that if you have questions on how a school has implemented this model, if you have questions that, she is open to email. And Boston University is doing it in partnership with Boston Green Academy in Boston. So she would be someone that you can connect with, and she can, if you have any questions regarding that, she could definitely help you with that.
And one thing I just want to quickly mention, I think Kevin's email address should have a D between the N and the A.
Yeah.
So if anyone's trying to reach him, just please be aware that it is Kevin DePonte at bpsma.org. And also, this webinar will be available for you to view after it concludes, so please feel free. You can review it at your leisure later on.
And so just to finish up, I just have important dates listed. If you have more questions, as we've seen some come in this morning, if you have more questions, we ask that you get them in by January 12th at 4 p.m. And we will have them on the website a few days later. We will answer those questions. All the questions will be listed on the website, and you'll be able to see what others have asked as well. So those should be posted probably about 5 days, so that's about January 17th on our webpage. And we do have a new webpage, so I'm not sure if it just came out this morning, actually. So if you also are, I'm glad we said this, the written questions, because on our website we are now under, you can see this RFP under job seekers. And if you click on under Learn and Earn, even though the link, it doesn't look like there's a link there, but if you click on Request for Proposals, you'll be able to see that the RFP is there. So if you haven't been on our website yet, I just urge you just to check it out, because it is brand new as of this morning. And
they are still making adjustments.
Yeah.
I do think I heard this morning that they fixed that. So it should be a hyperlink now, but we're going to figure out a way to make sure that any other additional documents or this webinar link are available for people to be able to view.
And so with that, if you are planning to apply for this proposal, we ask that you send a letter of intent, or it's just an email. You can send an email of intent. And my email address is listed here, tjacques@masscec.com. We're asking that to come in on February 1st by 5 p.m. And the due date for all applications is March 22nd at 2 p.m. And we will, we're hoping to notify you of your status late April, so that you can begin to, if you are awarded, you'll be able to start planning this summer into your school year going into the 16-17 school year. So these are just some important dates to keep in mind. And with that, unless Andrew has anything else he wants to add, or if you guys have anything that you want to add, I'm going to now take questions. I know we have some up there already, so I definitely...
Great. Yeah. No, thanks, Tamika. I think that was excellent. What we're going to do now is we are going to run through the questions in the order that they were received, and also please note all questions that are listed and answered, even those that we don't have a chance to answer by the end of today, will be answered and listed on our website, so you'll have a document you can read of all the questions and the answers as well. Great, so we're going to start at the top, and first question is, do the students have to have passed their first year, or could they have completed their first year in order to participate?
So as long as they are still in your high school, so maybe that student did struggle and they might have to repeat year one over again, that is fine as long as they are not a high school dropout, because, you know, these programs are created to reach, you know, to educate and reach all different types of students. So if you have a student that at least has gone through your high school in 9th grade or 10th grade, whatever grade they have to repeat, that is fine. They just cannot be a high school dropout. So they have to still be coming to school every day, and, you know, participating in their academics. So that is fine.
Great. Next question is, can you share some of the strengths of previous participants?
Sure. Well, let me save that for the end. I definitely will. I'm going to save that one for the end, and I'll talk a little bit about each program. So let me just save that question for the end.
Great. We'll come back to that one. So next question is, the RFP says to pay students $9.50 an hour, but isn't minimum wage $10?
Yeah, minimum wage just went up January 1st, so we will allow for that of the $10 an hour. That's not a problem.
Great. That was a good question. There was more than one asking that. Excellent. So next question, okay, just to clarify, are we allowed to reach out to past participants?
Yes. So if you are in your high school, if you're reapplying again, you are allowed to use some of those same participants if that's what you would like to do, yes. Again, as long as they're in your high school. So past participants are not people that have graduated high school and are now in college. I know that sounds weird, but I just want to really clarify that. As long as they are in your high school and they've gone through once, they can go through a program that you've created again.
Great. I believe we might have already answered this question, but is the program for current 9th graders, or must students have completed 9th grade before they can participate? I think we just answered that one. So moving on, is there a list of clean energy employers? I can actually field that one. Okay. So we do have a list of current clean energy employers that have participated in our internship program. There should be approximately 300 of them that have taken on individuals in the past who are aware of Mass CEC, who have taken advantage of our programs. I would highly recommend reaching out to them if you're interested and looking for a clean energy employer. Right now, that map used to live on our internship page. With the website being redone entirely and very new, you can navigate to that. If you go to our main page, masscec.com, go to Job Seekers, and then access the internship program page, whether you click on the employer one or the student one, under I think the program overview or program background, there should be a link that says list of previous participating employers or map of previous participating employers. And the benefit of this is it will show you on a map generated by ArcGIS where these employers are located and their website, what kind of technology they're involved in, how many employees they have. So that way you could look around your region and see who's around you. So that might be a good way for you to kind of plan your method of attack there and reach out to some of these employers. All right, so next question. Will the participants of this call be listed so we can potentially collaborate? I don't know the policy of that. I don't know if everyone on this call would want to have their information necessarily shared. So
if you're on this call and you want to, you don't mind sharing your information, I would say to send Andrew an email saying, I do not mind my information being shared that I was on this call. And then the participants that say they are okay with that, we will definitely send that out to everyone separately. We will not put that on our webpage, but we will send it out to you separately saying who was on the call. And Andrew's email address is bot@masscec.com.
The last name that doesn't sound anything like the way it's spelled. So, all right, so I'll just leave that up.
If you give us 1 second, I'm just going to take a quick pause for a second, and we'll be right back. All right, so we just took a brief moment because I want to show everyone, since our website is not even 24 hours old, I want to be able to show everyone what Andrew was just talking about regarding the map and where you can find, if you have to search for it again, where you can find the RFP. So the first thing is I just want to show you where the RFP is. So Andrew's going to go over to the left under Menu, and he's going to go under Job Seekers. And it's under Training Organization.
So you can actually, it should be a link right down, so it's very pale here. I think we're going to make this a darker color, but under the first bullet point here, you click on Learn and Earn Program.
And then you will, if you go to How to Apply, now it's linked. It wasn't linked this morning. If you just click on Request for Proposals, you'll be able to get to the link.
And it should generate the RFP, which is, of course, taking a while to load. There we go. Great.
So I just wanted to show everyone where it was, just in case there was some questions. And now we will show you where the employer map is. So
I think that was a great question. So let's go. We go back to the Job Seekers page. Click on either Job Seeker or Employer under the internship program right here. So we'll do this one. This will bring you to this page here. And so what you'll do is you'll expand the Program Background tab here and click on this link for the map. So hopefully this doesn't take forever to load. Sometimes it does. But what it should do is it should show you a map of Massachusetts with all the employers superimposed over that, all the universities as well, so that you can sort of make it as easy as possible. And of course, you know, we may live in the 21st century, but internet's still slow sometimes. So this will load. Here we go. All right. Great. So here we go. This is the map we're working with. This is updated at the conclusion of every session for the internship program. So it's usually, you know, it is the most current site available. Let me move it over to the Boston metro area just so you can have an example of what we're looking at here. So all these green dots are clean energy employers. Okay, there we go. The blue diamonds are private universities, and the red squares are community colleges. So if you are a clean energy employer and looking for a university to partner with, I would suggest clicking on one of these blue diamonds and then looking at the information, and you can follow it up from there. If you are a university or a high school looking for a clean energy employer, I would recommend clicking on a green dot. That will bring up the information of a clean energy employer, how many interns they've taken to date, what they work in, how many employees they have, and then link you directly to their website. So this would be a great resource for you. It also shows kind of public transportation just outlined on this map. And with that, I think we can get back to
and just to say about the map, this is not saying that you cannot work with other employers that are not on this map.
Right.
This map is just the employers that we currently are working with through our internship program. So I just want to, maybe you and your region are working with, you have your own employer that you're used to working with. That is also acceptable. These are just the ones that we have experience working with in the university.
And if you do know of a clean energy employer that is not on this map and hasn't taken an intern from us in the past, please let them know. It's a great resource. We won't talk too much about that, but you can always email me with any questions about the internship program. All right, let's get back to the questions. We have, let me pull this back up. Okay, here we go. So picking up where we left off, would you consider a program structured around a green construction course and internship?
Yeah, we would definitely consider green construction. So the internship would just be the basic hands-on learning. So again, and I'm not sure if it was in the RFP, but we want at least 80% of the program to happen at the high school, and the other 20% should happen outside of the high school. So if you are saying that, you know, your on-the-job training is going to include your students going to a place of employment, and that's going to be, you know, part of their work-based experience, that is also acceptable. But again, we'll take it case by case basis, but that could be included in you paying the student part of that whole experience. We don't want just the if you're saying that they're going to work on an internship and you're only going to pay them for 5 hours to go work at that. No, we want the whole experience to be paid. So the whole experience is including the academic time. So if you're doing a 30-hour-a-week program, then you're paying the student for 30 hours of being part of your program. So that is acceptable.
So we have a quick follow-up clarification question on one that was already answered about contacting prior recipients of the award. So they mean, would it be possible for them, for example, to contact Brockton High School about their initiative?
Absolutely.
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 Right.
Yep. Sorry.
Okay, great. Next question. Is this program only for gateway cities?
This program is not only for gateway cities. This is across Massachusetts. And I know that there has been some talk around the STEM Council of we don't really use gateway cities as much as we used to in the STEM Council. They're looking at cities that, you know, deal with residents from low-income backgrounds. So it's not just the gateway cities. This program is open to any high school across Massachusetts. We do have a preference. We would like the gateway cities to come in for this RFP, but it's not just for high schools and gateway cities.
Great. And so we have a question right now. I'm going to come back to this one question. I think it kind of applies to the earlier one. But is there a minimum number of hours from the Signal Success program that must be incorporated into our program? I think that could be a great question for Susan, Ann, or Jennifer to jump in and clarify. Jennifer, are you there?
Yep. Sorry, I just lost my voice, but yes, I am
That's
here.
Okay. Great.
The Signal Success curriculum is about 180 hours, but most programs use a smaller subset of that. So most programs implement in the range of 40 to 90 hours of the curriculum, and I don't believe that there is a minimum articulated in the RFP, but I believe maybe Susan could speak to that.
You know, I would say based on the dosage that we've been using in high schools, that we would want a minimum of 40 hours.
Great, great. So moving on, so can you talk a little more about projects that have worked with students who are not necessarily bound for a 4-year college?
Sure. And I was trying to hold off on this to the end with the strengths of the program, but it seems like that question keeps coming up. So our past recipient is Greater Lawrence Technical High School, and they did amazing work. They trained students around solar. So they were able to purchase some equipment with some solar panels, and they were able to teach the students right at school how to install those panels, and I believe the school is still using those panels on top of the high school, so they're actually saving the high school money. But they were also able to go out in the city of Andover and work on a house that was putting solar on that house. So we were able to actually go make a site visit to that program, and we were able to see the students that were working on the house, installing the solar panels. We were able to see them in their classroom and see them working on and being educated on photovoltaic installation. So in that case, that was an amazing program. They did partner with a community college as well, because again, not all the students, when they got their license, wanted to necessarily go focus on that right away. They did go on to pursue their higher education. But then again, some of the students, because of the great work that Dale did with these students, he was able to, the employer that they partnered with, some of those students actually got jobs because they did have their license coming out of the vocational school. So because of the program, because of Dale bringing in the employer, then being able to, get the hands-on experience of going out to the house in Andover, in the community that those students that had worked on that project, when they were done, they were actually able to get jobs with the employer and the contractor that was part of that. So that's one of our definitely A++ successful models that has worked.
And I'd like to just add one other thing. One of the things that did make it an attractive applicant for us is because they, as Tamika said, went into Andover and was doing some work installing solar in a house there. But the solar contractor they partnered with was actually participating in our Solarize Andover initiative through Mass CEC, through another division of ours. So being able to leverage other Mass CEC resources was an attractive application to us and made a lot of sense because they were really using all the tools available to them to make this program as successful as it could be. Great. And so moving on, can you please clarify, one of the first slides notes the program is for students in grades 9 to 12, but later reads that students must have completed 1 year of high school. Which is accurate?
I mean, if you're planning out, I guess that is a little bit confusing.
That's a good question.
So they have to be, I'll say this, they should be matriculated in their first year of high school. So I don't necessarily know if I have the right answer on that one. Because some of you will be in a planning phase, so some of them will be done by their first year. They will have completed their first year, but if you are saying that when students come in day one, I'm not sure how you would recruit for someone that just graduated from 8th grade and would be ready to start the program on September 1. So that would be a little tough. That would mean that they would not have been in your high school yet, because one thing with these programs, again, you're going to find out that you're going to receive this award sometime before June. And so your planning phase would really probably start this summer. So I'm not sure how you would be recruiting someone that hasn't even been in your school, you know, for day one. So I'm going to say that they should have completed their first year, because that would mean that you're taking on someone that just graduated from 8th grade and they're not even matriculated yet in your school.
Great. And I realize that we're at the end of the time slotted for the webinar right now, and some of you may have to jump off for other meetings or calls. We're just going to, for those of you who can stay, we're going to continue on and answer the remaining questions. For those who cannot, please be aware, you know, we will have this webinar hosted so you can view the end later on. We will be answering and posting all the questions that are submitted to us. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this webinar. So moving on with some of the last questions we have. Would an internship working with facilities managers utilizing building automation systems for the purpose of energy optimization be considered? So I would say so.
It sounds like you're doing energy efficiency.
Right.
So if you're on that track of energy efficiency, again, I don't, you know, that's a sector of clean energy. So saying on the phone, saying on this webinar, yes, if it's around energy efficiency, yes, but I would have to see the whole proposal.
Correct.
But it sounds like you would be doing energy efficiency measures.
Right. Our municipality is the largest property owner in the community, and several municipal departments have their own facility managers. Would a program that pairs high school students with these facility managers be an appropriate program design?
I'm not sure about that. I don't understand what you mean. When you say that you'd be pairing them, would they be mentors? I'm not sure if I quite understand that question.
I guess maybe the question is trying to drive at, would these facility managers be an appropriate substitute for a clean energy employer?
No, they would not, actually. So it needs to be a business. Okay, I thought you meant, I wasn't sure how you were framing that. It needs to be a business.
From the private sector.
From the private sector.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Great. Are there any other questions that you would like to ask? We have a few questions that were asked before the webinar started. So I hope that most of those have been answered, but we can quickly run through some of them to see if they have. There was one I think that was interesting.
One more question that just came in.
Okay, let's get to the one question that came in first online. You mentioned that academic time must be paid. However, on page 3, it says that compensation is optional during the academic year. if I understand correctly, I would have to pay the class time, but not the hands-on during the academic year, then pay the summer hands-on, correct?
Right. So academic year does not have to be paid, but the summer component does have to be paid, because the theory is that most students are already in school during the year. So everyone knows that they're going to school during the September through June year. However, during the summer, you have to pay the participant, because we know that a lot of students are deciding if they should go work and make money for their families, or they need money in their pocket. So the summer component is mandatory to be paid. The year-round program is not mandatory.
Great. And then also, would pairing with a union be an appropriate employer partner? Well, are they doing clean energy work? That's
Yeah. Again, we're going to go with the private business because, again, the union usually is contracted through a private business. So it would have to be the employer is a private business.
Great. Great. Okay, so we can maybe, do you think there's any of those questions that need to be touched on? I think we pretty much touched on all of it.
Yeah, I see everything, the questions that came in earlier. Could universities be the lead institution? Yes, the universities can be a lead institution. So I think we've pretty much covered.
Right, okay. Great, okay.
Oh, yeah, the last thing. Yeah, so definitely the question that was asked earlier was, what are the strengths? And some of our programs that have had great success. Again, as I said, the ones that have had the great success are the ones that have kind of have previous experience, should I say, that just didn't, decide, oh, well, let's try this. Not to say that that's a bad idea, but I think that a lot of the success is the track record of high schools that have done this before and have definitely pre-planned it. So not necessarily applying for the award and doing it right away, working with it. So again, applying right away would be, we want to be ready this summer. It means that you really need time to really plan for this type of program. And so the more time that you can include in planning, so whether that's planning for the summer and getting that ready for next summer for the summer component, it really works out better if you're not in a rush to do it as a high school, that you really think it through, that your employer is an employer partner that's strong. So if programs that just have an employer, let's say maybe just a name, where the employer really could only come to 1 or 2 of the team meetings, some of those weren't successful. But I think really being able to plan out the program has been definitely a model of success, as well as real hands-on experience. So I'm going to say Northeastern University had a great project, as well as I mentioned Greater Lawrence, but Northeastern had a great project because they took students from that school, and the program was based on the school. So those students learned energy efficient measures. They actually went around to their classrooms and learned all the different measures, how they could save the school money. And they were divided up into teams, and they presented to their principal, they presented to the staff, to be able to show how the school could save. Energy costs are sometimes on a place of business or an institution, that's one of their biggest costs, is their energy costs. And so they were able to learn the different models of how to save, how to make sure that energy wasn't just going back out the door when they were turning on whatever system was in the building. So I think the models that the students are able to have hands-on, real life opportunity, real life experience, what's going on today, and then prepare for that, are the ones that are definitely the most successful, because they can take that and put that on their resume. They can take that if they decide maybe they don't want to go into post-secondary right now, but at least they could apply to get a starting entry-level job in their profession doing energy efficiency measures. And we know that's definitely in demand, as the Mass Save program is just, there's so much demand in that. So that's another model of success, and a best practice one, because it was definitely hands-on. They were able to take their information, write up a report, present it to the administration, and present that to the John D. O'Brien High School, as well as present it to the City of Boston. I don't think they won, but the City of Boston had a contest that people could come in and show energy efficiency measures, and whatever project won, they would, if they took on those measures, they would reimburse some of that cost back to the high school. So I think that's probably one of our best hands-on model. Besides Great Alarms, like I said, we've had a lot of them, but the ones where the students can get equipment, work on it, have that installation opportunity, or if they're designing something, I think that's been.
And also just to add one thing is Brockton High School, they actually, as Tamika said earlier, it's very greater chance for success if you're building off of a model that's already in existence. Brockton already had a summer work program that they sort of used to base our initiative off of, or to pair them together. They had been running it for about 19 years before they went into our model for Learn and Earn. It was very successful because they already had the necessary infrastructure in place. So just to underpin how important it is to really have some of the institutional knowledge ready to go, because that will enable it to be a smooth transition. Okay, and this will be the last question. I think it's a great question to end on. Once awarded, is Mass CEC available for consultation during the process, and how?
Yes, absolutely. We don't just leave you out there. You sign a contract with us, and we provide technical assistance. Actually, Commonwealth Corporation in the past has provided technical assistance. So, and Mass CEC is always, just a phone call away, an email. We do site visits, so we do come and meet your students. We actually I've dropped in on on the academic side, so I've seen some math problems that I probably couldn't figure out that day, but as long as the students were accomplishing them. So you are not just left out there once you receive. We definitely will keep track of you. You have to submit quarterly reports into Mass CEC that will come in every 3 months so that we can track your progress. So you are not just left out there. We definitely are a hands-on organization.
Great. Great, and with that, I'd like to thank everybody for, again, taking the time. I'm sorry we started a little late, but I think we kind of kept to about an hour, all in all. Thanks for those of you who were able to stay on a little extra. And please be aware, again, this webinar will be hosted on our website with the written questions posted with the answers. We look forward to seeing your letters of intent and your applications submitted on March 22nd. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us before then. Feel free to contact the previous recipients, but also for those of you who would like to have your information shared amongst one another to potentially collaborate, please send an email to me. My email is, again, with the name that doesn't sound at all like it's spelled, right there. All right, and so you'll be able to, it's also on our staff page on our website. Well, with that, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you to Susan, Jennifer, and Ann for joining us today, and thanks for Tamika for leading this whole webinar. And we look forward to getting the applications. Take care, everyone.